welcome to the live. If you're watching this later, um, hello. So I'm here to talk about some interesting energetic kind of plays or energy, essentially like different aspects and stuff going on in the current astrology that's impacted this merger between Six Flags and Cedar Fair. And just as a side note, um, one of the other reasons why I decided to talk about this, why it interests me, not only because of the astrology part, but also I'm a huge roller coaster enthusiast. So this is pretty big. I'm gonna have to roll the windows up real quick. This was announced, I believe, today. It was came out about the news between Six Flags and Cedar Fair merging. Those two companies deciding to merge. Um, and as I understand it, it's not 100% like done yet, but they've already made the agreement, that sort of thing. So I think it's just the logistical stuff. But anyways, so yeah, there's quite a few things going on with the current astrology that I think played a part in impacting this decision being made. So I'm just going to go over it. And basically, if you don't know anything about mundane astrology, it's essentially the astrology that impacts anything that's not just like a singular person, which is like natal astrology or evolutionary astrology. So it's like countries, companies, um, pretty much like any kind of group, you know, group, like even I'm not really sure about smaller groups. I guess you could use it for smaller groups, but yeah, definitely like the bigger stuff where it's a lot of people. So it's basically pulling a chart for that. And so the first thing that stood out to me was like Saturn currently being in Pisces, and it's at 0 degrees. So it's like very because it was in retrograde. So now it's moving forward again, and it's currently at 0 degrees. So it's like kind of the most potent degree for that sign because it's like right at the beginning when the sign is starting out. And for my beginners, if you're new to astrology, Saturn rules businesses, companies, that sort of thing. Um, People in authority, so like the CEO, kind of like the higher ups. Um, and Pisces is like the sign of, it's the Neptunian sign. Neptune rules Pisces. So they're both about blending things, merging things, becoming one. Um, it's also like it's this very spiritual energy. It's a water sign. So taking into account um, kind of like the spiritual ramifications, in this case, of the company and how that influences people on a large scale. And also with the ruling planet Neptune being in Pisces, it's just that much more potent. So yeah, so that's like a huge, to me, you know, this isn't probably going to be the only case. While Saturn is in Pisces of, seeing companies merge together, we're probably going to see other examples of this. Um, so yeah, a lot of another kind of Saturn and Pisces thing, and especially with Neptune, again, the ruling planet being in Pisces, is um, also as we're like, it's kind of in conjunction with as we're moving into the new Earth, and 5D Earth is like companies are going to have to change how they, like the infrastructure and how they treat their employees, and also customers slash, the consumer, but especially like the people that they are responsible for. And there's going to have to be this kind of spiritual restructuring. So that's just like a side note. So getting back to this merger, the other big thing is the Scorpio stellium that was is still happening, and it was also part of this eclipse we just had. So the a stellium, again for my beginners, a stellium is when you have like 3 or more planets conjunct, or at least they don't have to be. There is a debate on this. They don't have to be necessarily conjunct, which is like a blending of energy when they're really close together, but they can just be in the same sign. So in this case, we have 4 planets. We have the Sun, Mercury, Mars, and Sirius. And also in astrology, just a side note for any beginners, the Sun and Moon, even though they are luminaries, they are a lot of times referred to as planets, just to kind of consolidate things, even though they're technically not planets. So if you hear me referring to the Sun as a planet, that's the reason why. So anyways, this Scorpio is about also blending. It's not quite to the extent of Pisces, because Pisces is kind of like blending on a much bigger scale, like a population, or you could even kind of look at it as a little bit of like on a galactic level, but that kind of blending type energy. Scorpio is like a blending between 2 individuals, and the 2 individuals becoming one. But it's still, again, this kind of blending energy. So this stellium is opposite Six Flags in the Six Flags chart, Sirius and Taurus. And Sirius has to do with ownership, responsibility, and managing like the finances, that sort of thing. And it's, again, not every astrologer is going to say this, but I use Sirius. I consider it a personal planet, and I consider it the ruler of Taurus. So it's very strong in Taurus. However, this opposition is asking for a decision to be made, and I'm not like super big into business and like business analytics and stuff like that, but I do know that Six Flags has kind of been struggling for some time financially, and so I'm sure that a lot of this astrology like affected that decision being made, because like it's kind of like a do or die, I think, for the company. And especially like leading up to my next point, which is the Scorpio stellium that I was just talking about, squaring Six Flags nodal axis. And again, if you're a beginner in astrology, the nodal axis, the north node of the moon, the south node of the moon, has to do with destiny. Now, like in an individual chart, like a natal chart for an individual, it's the person's destiny. So it's like south node, I'm just kind of summarizing. But the south node is basically where you've been, what's most comfortable to you. And it's always 2 pairs of signs, by the way. So like Libra, Aries, Taurus, Scorpio. It's always going to be a pair of signs. But the north node is like, it's where it's the least amount of territory you've covered, so to speak. Like it stretches you, you're not as comfortable in that area of life, whatever that sign rules. So in this case, the destiny of the company really, the stellium hitting this Six Flags, North Node, really affected the destiny of the company. Like again, I feel like it's where this like do or die kind of energy is coming in. Like they had to make a decision, or the company was possibly going to go under. So, yeah, it was squaring the Leo North Node of Six Flags, Aquarius South Node. And I didn't write it down, but also the Six Flags Sun in Leo is also conjunct its north node. So this stellium was also squaring the sun as well. The literal identity of the company. So yeah, and causing like an identity shift. They're merging with another huge amusement park company. So it's like a really big identity shift as well when you think about it. And unfortunately, I tried to look up Cedar Fair's chart, but they only had the year listed, so I can't get a lot of information for that, unfortunately. But what I did, I was doing a little bit of research before making this list of points and doing this live, and Six Flags is actually going to benefit tremendously because not only are they going to their financial situation is going to be alleviated, most likely. They're also going to retain the name of Six Flags. So essentially, they're again by merging, having this identity shift with Cedar Fair, it's actually boosting the image of Six Flags. So the other thing I want to talk about is we have this other really kind of complex configuration of a grand Earth trine of Pluto in Capricorn, Venus in Virgo, Uranus retrograde in Taurus, configured with the Six Flags Sirius in Taurus. And then we also have Neptune sextiling Six Flags Sirius, and then Neptune is opposing Venus. So there's a lot going on in this configuration, but essentially, to me, this grand Earth trine, there's a lot of positive energy, and Earth represents companies. That's again, Capricorn rules companies, Sun rules Capricorn, but the Earth element is associated with, the earthly realm. So companies, material things, money, wealth, that sort of thing. So I feel like this grand Earth trine is really also benefiting this merging and Six Flags as well. And a lot of times, grand Earth trines can be wasted because it's this very positive energy, but it's somewhat, you can kind of visualize it as being like castle in the sky or kind of like up in the clouds energy. Like it's not so much the fire grand trines and the earth grand trines, but yeah, it can get wasted because it's taken for granted. It's not always fully realized, so to speak. But being in the earth element, and then this opposition with Venus and Neptune helps to facilitate this energy being used, essentially, because it's an opposition is like a challenging aspect, so it just helps to motivate this energy being used. And technically, yes, Venus is not, it's in Virgo, it's not the best place for it to be, but overall, this grand trine of Pluto trining the Sirius causing like a restructuring, more of a spiritual restructuring with Six Flags, and then Uranus retrograde being conjunct, which is again the blending energy. That's essentially, to me, with the retrograde, it's causing an internal restructuring of the business, so the actual people within for the better, as well as reassessing values, that sort of thing, because Taurus is all about values as well, especially Sirius and Taurus. And yeah, so essentially, again, that opposition with Neptune, that's where that blending is coming in. And then I mentioned two Neptune sextiling Sirius. So sextiles require action. It's a positive aspect, but it does require action. So all these things together essentially is pointing to that that merger happening, that blending. Like it needed to happen, it had to happen, so Six Flags could move forward with its destiny, so to speak, um, and for it to survive, you know. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Hopefully, I made sense, and hopefully, I maybe even taught you some new things about astrology. But yeah, feel free to comment, message me if you have any questions. And yeah, I hope to chat with you all soon. And I will see you in the next video.